Hi everyone, it's Niall and Tomas from Neil Pois, and it's a new episode of United by Newsic. Again, the most stupid Eurovision news video segment here on YouTube that you can find. We are going to round up what sort of happened over the last 2 weeks since the last episode, and Thomas has written a lot of stuff down for us to talk about. So it's been a bit busy 2 weeks. We're in peaks season. So let's get into it. Thomas, what's first?
Well, so we've had a lot. Obviously, one of the first things that happened after we did the previous episode, which was the first episode of United by Newsic, is that Luxembourg held their national final, which already seems like ages ago, because we've had about 8 or 7 or 8 songs released after that since. Yeah, so it's coming, it's coming fast all of a sudden. But Luxembourg has chosen La Poupée Monte le Son.
Sorry, I can't listen to anyone say anything about coming in fast after Erika Vikman. We'll talk about that. But
look, it's just we said this when we reacted to Erika Vikman's song for UMK a couple of weeks ago. Everything is going to sound sexual for a couple of days after witnessing that. I don't think it's going to get any better after that performance from last night.
The innuendo is strong. But anyway, Luxembourg, the Poupée Monte.
Luxembourg have,
I butchered it.
You tried. So La Poupée Monte le Son is the song by Laura Thorne, who is obviously representing Luxembourg. We have already reacted to this performance in full, so if you want to go and check out our reaction to that, please go to neilpois.com. It is where you will find not only that video, but all of our reaction videos, all of our podcasts that we've been doing. You can also find the links to that podcast. You can find the links to our social medias. Just go to neilpois.com. Everything's there. And I believe you can still send us a voice memo to tell us what you think. No one has, but you can.
The option is
there. Exactly, which is fun, But we're not going to get into Luxembourg too much because we already reacted to that song, and we still have a lot of other songs that have been chosen since then. What I do want to talk about is the semi-final draw, which happened about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, something like that.
It feels wild that it was so long ago.
Yeah, so all the countries have been drawn into their respective semis. I am just going to quickly go over these semis as a reminder. So semi-final 1, first half, we have Estonia, Iceland, Poland, Portugal, Slovenia, Sweden, and Ukraine. 2 of those have already chosen their entries, which we'll discuss in a minute. Second half, Albania, Azerbaijan, Belgium, Croatia, Cyprus, Netherlands, Norway, and San Marino have been drawn in the second half of semi-final 1. And then semi-final 2, first half, we have Armenia, Australia, Austria, Greece, Ireland, Latvia, Lithuania, and Montenegro. And then in the second half, we have Czechia, Denmark, Finland, Georgia, Israel, Luxembourg, Malta, and Serbia. So those are all the songs competing in the semifinals. And then we also have... Okay, go ahead.
Based on that, is there any chance that we already know what is closing the 2 semifinals? Because I would say it's Belgium and Finland for closures.
It does seem very likely. Look, semi-final 1, what do we have in the second half? We already have Belgium and Albania. That's pretty much the only one that we have confirmed. We know that Azerbaijan have selected Mama Gama, but no song yet. Same for Cyprus and Netherlands. They have selected their artist, but no song. So depending on what they send, it seems quite likely that a song like Strobe Lights would, close that semi. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. When I look at the second half of semifinal 2, we also now have Miriana Conte with the song Kant for Malta, which could also be a good closer to the show. I think what it's going to come down to there is props. Erika Vikman, depending on whether she brings her giant microphone that we're going to discuss in a minute, whether or not she brings that on to the stage in Basel, which I have now learned is the way to pronounce the city, not Basel, it is Basel. If she brings that might cause some issues in the running order, and that might maybe prompt them to make another decision. But it would be a great closer for sure. Before we go on, I do also want to mention that normally we also have the Big Five and the host country.
Of course, yes.
Who are voting and also performing in these semis. I think from what I remembered, I don't see, I'm on Wikipedia, I can't really see much about who's voting when, but I think it was it Italy, Spain, and the UK in semifinal 1? And then France, Germany.
I think we're semi-final 2.
I thought...
Because I don't think I can vote for Belgium.
It could be, but I'm pretty...
We're going to put up a graphic of it here. So don't listen to what we're saying, read what it says on the screen.
Exactly. I don't even know why it's not really there. But in any case, it is worth mentioning that these countries will also be voting, obviously, and they will be performing, which is something they have done for a couple of years. But last year, for the first time, they actually broadcast their performance from the semifinals, which was, I think, a nice addition because it really gives you much more of a feel of what to expect in the final.
Is that confirmed again for this year?
I don't know if it's been officially confirmed, but I'm assuming it will happen because it did get a lot of positive.
Okay. Just to confirm, first semi-final is Switzerland, Italy, Spain, and then second semi-final, Germany, France, United Kingdom.
Okay. So, any thoughts apart from who do you think is going to close the show? Any thoughts on these draws? Do you feel like there might be some early winners or losers there, countries that might have an advantage or a disadvantage judging from the draw?
I do think that semi-final 1 is going to be difficult for some of the smaller countries who don't always get a qualification. So I'm looking at like Azerbaijan, San Marino, Slovenia, because we've got big hitters in there. We've got Sweden, we've got Ukraine, we've got Belgium, which we know is going to be huge. Netherlands are in there as well. So that, and Albania, which is a really great song.
So, and then you've got Norway, who's pretty much 50-50.
Yeah. But yeah, you've got some big countries. You've obviously got Poland in there as well, who obviously have a huge diaspora. But obviously that didn't help them last year, so who knows? It just looks like a pretty decent mix to me. Like, obviously we don't have a lot of the songs yet, so we can't really make heads or tails of it. But all we can do is go based on sort of track records and what we know of the country. So, for example, we know Ukraine have sent another fantastic song. We'll react to that later. Sweden, of course, are Sweden. It's very unlikely that they'll send something that won't qualify. So yeah, you want when we talk about big hitters, it's based on sort of relative knowns, educated guesses more than anything, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, do you know what I also always love seeing is how certain blocks of countries are split up between the semis, because obviously we know that these days they have 6 pots, I think, in which they divide all the country, or 5 pots in which they divide all the countries, and they try and make sure that they put all the countries that tend to, that have historically voted for each other a lot, they put them in the same pot, sort of like a way to make sure that not all of them are in the same semi, which I think is a fair thing to do. Yeah. There has been some block voting, and this is not a diss to any region, because block voting is something, it happens in Western Europe, it happens in Eastern Europe, it happens with the Balkans, the Baltics. A lot of them tend to vote for each other. For example, it is not a surprise that the entire Benelux is in pot 1, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. There is a reason why they are there. Same with the Baltics. Obviously, the Scandies are in the same semi with Australia, which I find quite funny that Australia is all like, they are basically the Scandies from down under.
Southern, yeah.
Yeah, it's just funny that they're always in the same pot. But it is like even then they cannot prevent from neighboring countries to be in the same semi. You know, Belgium and Netherlands are both in the first semifinal. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, and you know, I'm obviously Belgian, as you all know. So for me, I know that there is a big dance and techno scene in the Netherlands as well. So I'm thinking that is definitely an advantage for Red Sebastian to have the Netherlands voting in that same semi.
You know,
Yeah,
and
I don't.
even semi-final two, if the UK are voting in the same one that Ireland's in, you know, that's something as well.
Yeah,
that could be beneficial.
yeah, and the UK they do tend to like sort of like these up-tempo songs with like funny lyrics and you know a bit of a gimmick. They do because I feel like
We're not
UK people
entirely
like to enjoy
serious in the
themselves.
UK. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
not entirely
you like to
serious.
enjoy themselves. Yeah, okay. Um, yeah, so I think that's the semifinal draw. I don't think I don't think we need to get into it too much because
It's
it
too
really is
early.
just it is early days and this is just a draw of which half they're in. So obviously what I do like to do when we have all the songs is just for myself try and make a prediction of who's going to perform in what spot and then check when the
Okay,
semifinal
we
draw
could do
comes
that.
on. Yeah,
We'll do
that is a
that.
fun thing. We can do that later. Okay, next piece of news. We have had two countries internally selecting their act over the past 2 weeks. I think it's two of them. I think it's Austria, who have selected JJ, and France have selected Luan. I'm trying to remember, did we discuss the Netherlands
No,
last
we
week?
did. I don't think we discussed it, but I think we have mentioned it in the video that Claude was selected for the Netherlands as well. So
Yeah.
throw that in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw that they're going to release Luan's song. The first performance of it is going to be live during the Scotland French Six Nations match,
Yeah.
which is going to be. I don't think it's necessarily going to be massively broadcast because it's half time, so they'll go to the pundits and stuff. But that's
Yeah.
still a big crowd to perform that in front of, and we'll definitely have clips of that. So that would be exciting, sort of mid March, right towards
Yeah.
the end. They're probably going to be the last song, um, based on the date. But yeah, that could be interesting. I also think it's just a little bit funny that it's the day that Scotland are playing France.
Yeah.
I don't know why I find that funny. Just yeah.
Yeah, it's just because you're Scottish, so it's sort of there's sort of a link there then. But yeah, I saw a lot of people that were actually quite excited about Luan. I have to say I've heard of her name before. I hadn't really listened to any of her songs before. But they do describe her as a major icon of the French music scene, and she has been called a bridge between the personal and the universal. She
Okay.
first came to prominence at the age of just 16 years old on The Voice. So many countries pick their contestants, especially when they do it internally from The Voice. Like Belgium's done it a couple of times as well, up to a point where it was like, oh well, let's see who became
Yeah.
famous this year in The Voice. So maybe then we can sort of find out who the representative
Yeah.
is going to be next year. She was crowned with a César Award for La Famille Bélier. I don't just even say what that is. Is it a song? Is it an album? I have no clue. But she has gotten an award. So apparently she is quite an established name already. Her songs reflecting her own life and the lives of others resonate with rare authenticity, blending elegance and intensity, according to Eurovision.tv. And then JJ for Austria. Now, this is an interesting one.
It's operatic, isn't it? It's an
It is
operatic.
operatic. And here's the thing. It's operatic mixed with pop music, sort of like a, modern meeting classical, not unlike a very famous singer from Switzerland who just happened to win Eurovision last year. So I'm quite interested to see what song JJ is going to bring and in what ways it will sound similar to the code. We know that Taya is writing or co-writing JJ's song, and I think she also co-wrote the code. Was she on the writing team of the code, or was
No, I don't. I think it was Ellie Bay's boyfriend. Elsie Bay's
is that
boyfriend, wasn't it? Yeah.
Elsie Bay? That was the one. Okay. Well, I'm still kind of like the first thing that comes to mind when I hear operatic and modern and stuff. And the first thing that comes to mind is Nemo, and we have had several songs during this national final selection period that have been compared to the code. Literally, none of them have actually sounded like the code, which I think is quite funny. That people, as soon as people hear a high note, they compare it to Nemo. So I'm quite interested to see what JJ is going to bring, because it does sound quite similar. It does sound quite familiar.
Yeah. And then I've not heard anything of Claude.
Claude, we've not really heard much of him. I have never really heard much of him. I have been looking up some of his work, and he tends to sing in both Dutch and French, which I think is quite interesting. Claude obviously speaks French, so it would be funny if we get a French language song from the Netherlands, because it would be quite unexpected, but it could also be a fun thing.
Of course, we do not really talk too much about it or promote Israel too much on this channel, but we do discuss them for factual reasons. So, of course, they've selected Yuval Raphael to represent them as well. So they did a contest to select the artist, but not the song. So that'll come at a later date. But yeah, interesting choice from Israel as well there, considering what we know about her history.
Exactly. You know what? And this has been our stance last year, and it is this year as well. We are not going to review or react to the song, because we still firmly believe that Israel should not be in this competition, despite the ceasefire that is going on right now. Too much has happened, and I think some decisions should have been made that have not been made, but we can't change it. So the fact is, Israel is going to be competing at the 69th Eurovision Song Contest, and we're not going to deny that fact. We're not going to pretend like they're not there, but we're not going to engage any more than just basic facts.
And we're also not going to do the thing that people did last year, which is spread hate to any particular people. You can have really hate. You can have extreme views against the government and the country, etc. But against people is a bit difficult for me to swallow. And I know it's something that a lot of people find uncomfortable. So we won't partake in that here. So that's why this is probably going to be one of the only mentions of Israel we'll have. So we'll just leave that there.
Exactly. Okay. Another one worth mentioning, Czechia have chosen Adonis for their 2025 representative. We have had this news for a couple of weeks, I think, ago.
Maybe.
That he was announced, but he did premiere a sort of semi-acoustic version of his song "Kiss Kiss Goodbye" during the first semi-final of MESC, the Maltese national final.
How many people did they get in as guests in Malta?
They got Adonis, they got Emily de Forest, but she seems to be flying around of Europe. Like, she's done 3 national finals so far. I'm gonna laugh if she's in every single national final except the Danish one.
Emily, if you're watching this, we're going to be in Belgium next weekend. Come join us. Live from Thomas's living room.
She just went to Belgium. She might not want to return that fast. I don't know. Maybe she loved it. But Adonis did perform a acoustic version of his song "Kiss Kiss Goodbye." Have you heard the song? Have you listened to it?
No. So I've decided that I'm going to wait for the studio cut.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of just going to and for what I do for most of our videos here, obviously there's some discrepancies when it comes to like Sweden and Finland and some of the ones where we do more of a look at the national final, is I do try and go in blind as much as possible so that my reaction on film is genuinely my reaction. So I think I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, I have just listened to about a minute of the performance that was posted on Blue Sky, and first impressions, I thought it sounded like a catchy song, sort of melancholic a little bit. And what struck me, because I'm assuming he was singing live, was that he had a really, really good vocal, which could be interesting. The outfit was really cool. It was on point. So I'm quite excited for Czechia. I think they might have something special on their hands. Obviously this was an acoustic version, so we're going to need to. It did feel a little Eurovision by numbers, not necessarily in a bad thing, but just very much a song made for a competition. We've said this before with other songs, but very excited to see what they're going to be doing. One that we also need to mention, and I think is the last one so far that has selected internally, which is Azerbaijan, have selected Mama Gama, and they are an Azerbaijani band founded in Baku. I'm just quickly going to click their link because
whenever I hear Baku, all I can hear in my head is Loreen going, "I love you, Baku."
Absolute queen. So they are an indie pop / alternative rock band.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
Sounds interesting. I think similar to Israel, we will not be discussing them too much for obvious reasons, but definitely worth mentioning. Had we actually discussed Theo Evan from Cyprus, who has also been internally selected? I don't know I can't remember if we discussed him last time around, but
I mean, I think we've discussed him personally, privately.
Yes.
Because he did the performance, the Greek of Fuego to playback with very bad lip sync. And I think the one, I've only seen a clip of it, and I could tell it was bad lip sync, I could tell it was playback, and then I was like, why are the dancers wearing gimp suits?
It was some choices were made. However, most of that show was played back, apart from the actual entries. Thank God they actually were performed live. But yeah, still worth mentioning. We don't know much about Theo Evan, that we did not have a song title yet, so to be continued. And then I think
we've had two Super Saturdays, two big weekends, haven't we?
2 Super Saturdays. So in the meantime, since Luxembourg, which we've mentioned earlier in this video, a few other countries have also chosen their song. Amongst them, Belgium, Finland, Greece, Ukraine, Spain, Slovenia, Ireland, Latvia, and Malta have all chosen their entries. 4 of them last night, the others about a week ago or a week and a half ago. Any of those countries that you particularly want to discuss, that you want to say something about?
No, I'm not going to go too much into it because I think.
That is the end of this video. Thank you for watching.
No, but I think I think we discuss them more in their own videos. But I do think, we've got a few to talk about, and we have mentioned Kant previously. We've not been its biggest fan when we saw it the first time around. You can catch that on newpla.com. We are going to go in. We've not recorded our reaction to the performance yet. We've not watched the performance yet. We're going to go in open-minded. So please, just don't come for us. We are trying our best to not. We don't like to hate any songs, but we're trying our best to embrace it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe that. But it does look like Kant is being allowed because it's been uploaded to the Eurovision YouTube channel with the brackets of singing, which so many of the Maltese fans taught us was what Kant meant. Doesn't grammatically make sense, but when does a Eurovision song have to make grammatical sense? So
exactly. Do you know what I will say about that is love it or hate it, but the Maltese public voted for it and they got what they wanted. Mariana obviously won the televote. So in that sense, good on Malta for choosing and getting what they want. We don't have to be a fan of it. We don't like every song. I don't think anyone likes every song. Our opinions differ. That's what makes Eurovision exciting. Otherwise, we would all be voting for the same country, and there really is no point in watching the voting. So
also, we've heard reports that Mariana was in an accident and hospitalized for a shock today. So we're sending love to her because she does seem like a really fun person as well. Actually,
yeah,
she's got a good vocal from what I heard. So yeah, lots of love and get well soon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was a slight bit, something that I want to mention as well, a slight bit of drama after the Irish. Yeah, I know, who'd have thought it? In the Eurovision, no, surely not. But there was a slight bit of drama after the Irish Euro song. I don't know if you read about this. Apparently, and I have watched these Instagram stories, apparently a certain Bobby Arlo was not so happy with the results from Eurosong. She did go on to congratulate Emmy, which, okay, props to you that you did that. She basically suggested that the reason that she was not picked was RTE's fault. It was the fault of camera angles. It was the fault of the Irish being homophobic or or transphobic or all these kind of things. It was kind of like I was listening to this story because she was obviously, I thought she looked like she was in a car with a friend or something, and she was doing all this talking. Yeah, and I thought, look, the performance was not it. You know what the circumstances are regarding Eurosong. We know that it's held on the Late Late Show. We know that there's not a lot of budget. We know that we have a very small stage. We've got a few cameras. It's, there's not a lot to work with. So to then blame your not qualifying on that without any self-reflection, to me, just makes no sense. All of these artists faced those same challenges and made it work, or at least tried to make it work. Look at Bambi. We did not like Bambi's staging at Eurosong, and we were not convinced, but they completely blew us away. So you didn't get chosen for a lot of reasons, but part of the blame is with you and your own team. People just didn't connect with it, and you cannot blame that on everyone else apart from you. So I don't really think that was a very good look.
I also would like to just put a couple of things out there in regards to this line. Bobby Arlo, I really liked your song, and I really liked your personality as it came across in the Late Late Show, but your performance level felt like it was at 30%. It felt like so much was being held back on that performance, for me anyway, watching it. And I understand that she might have been sick, and that's one of the reasons why the energy might have been down, but it just didn't feel right. And I also want to bring up the homophobic, Ireland being homophobic and stuff, right? So yes, there's a large portion of Ireland that has very conservative values, it's a Catholic country. But at the same point of time, Ireland have in the public voted for same-sex marriage. They have voted for abortion rights. And also last year, they voted overwhelmingly for Bambi Fugg, who is non-binary and is part of the queer community as well. So I don't think we can just blame that. And I do think a lot of the conservative people who would potentially be homophobic and transphobic, I don't think they're watching the Late Late Show Eurosong special a lot of the time.
Probably not.
I just think they'll be like, oh, it's the Eurosong special, let's leave that then. I can't see that. But you know what? I hope all the contestants also got €130 worth of fake tan, because they might need it to make themselves feel like they've been on holiday.
And the thing is also, speaking of the other contestants, it also just reflects positively on them. When you have one of the other contestants saying, oh, I should have been the one that went to Eurovision, and I didn't get to go because of this person and this person and this person's fault. What message do you send to your fellow contestants? Basically, you're saying, well, I was obviously the best one, and I didn't get picked because of this and this reason. So you're basically saying y'all were, I was superior to all of you. And that's not an attitude that I support. it was just an ugly look for me, and it did make me think like maybe it's a good thing we didn't get you to Eurovision because
Yeah, that
you know
attitude. I want to bring something up then, just quickly, because we have gone over the time that we expected to be doing this for. As always, who can imagine us
yeah,
talking?
well,
Um, if you've made it this far, there was a moment in UMK yesterday when the English commentary just before Erica Vickman started was saying that she felt like she had almost like she had it in the bag, like so that she had the winning song. But it didn't come across in this sort of superior way. She just felt like it just sort of felt like I have elevated myself as an artist since 2020.
yeah.
I have a song that I know could win, and I'm proud of it. And if it does do well, it felt like a completely different attitude of feeling superior than.
But that's confidence. That's
Yeah,
confidence. That's not a feeling of superiority, as you said. So I agree with
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So there's ways you can say things like that without sounding a bit like an asshole.
Exactly. Anyway, again, we do love Bobby Arlo's song, and it was my favorite studio cut. It didn't work out. That's the way that it goes. Maybe she'll have better luck next time. I doubt she'll compete again, but but who knows? Anything can happen. A few final things that I want to say. Latvia had a withdrawal. Greta withdrew due to illness. I have not looked any further into it, but at the time that I read that news, there was no explanation as to what exactly happened. But we do want to send our love and all of our best wishes to Greta, and hopefully she gets a full recovery soon. Apparently, Emi Skilla, which was one of the participants on Sanremo, withdrew due to alleged links in an anti-mafia investigation involving AC Milan and Inter Milan ultra leaders.
Anti-mafia or
anti-mafia investigation?
Right. Okay.
Yes. He was also banned from attending football matches for 3 years by Milan police after a violent incident at a football match. There has been no replacement for him in Sanremo, so we're going to have one less, which means Sanremo is going to last at least 3 minutes less long than usual, which is a good thing because the show goes on for 65 days.
They will find a way to make that up.
They'll just chat.
Yeah, it's the year of withdrawals and disqualifications. We've sort of mentioned a few of them before. So yeah, it's a bit of a interesting year in that regards. I feel like Gabe's iceberg videos is going to need to be like in 6 parts potentially this year.
And we're only 12 songs in, so a lot can still happen. It's the 9th of February. I think we can almost finish it there then. The only thing that I had written down was that the friendship gift has now replaced the host insignia. So obviously, for people who don't know, usually the old host, the old broadcaster, gives over a sort of a key, sort of like a massive key that goes on a key hanger, and it usually has colors or the logo of that year's contest on it. It's very cute. Usually they do it in like an official ceremony, which is then broadcast on YouTube. Apparently they didn't do that this year, and they replaced it with a friendship gift. I have no idea what that friendship gift is, but I'm kind of sad that the insignia is gone because they had like a whole bunch of them already. Apparently
the friendship gift was a jacket made out of the banners that were left over from Malmo 2024.
Okay.
But here's the thing with the insignia, and I will give them some props on this. I like the insignias, and I'm a little bit disappointed to see them go. They had been going for 15 years. Now, they look heavy.
So they do look heavy, yeah.
Airfare and price of luggage is going up, so maybe it's not feasible. But also, we need to talk, like the Liverpool insignia that they handed over last year in Malmo was just stunning, and I feel like if you're going to end it on a good one, and that felt kind of like a good stop. Like it was beautiful with the liver birds and you know what? I kind of feel like Malmo got that, and we're like, we can't beat that.
Maybe, but we also know that whenever these kind of changes are made, it often does happen a year that Eurovision is held in Sweden. We know that the Swedes like to, pitch in and give their opinions on how things should go, which is fine because we've had some great progress at Eurovision Song Contest.
And I believe Nemo did get the copy of Gilmore Girls on DVD as well.
Did they? That is hilarious. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it. I think we've covered. If we have missed anything, do let us know in the comments down below, and we can discuss it in the next episode of United by Newsic, which is going to be about 5 minutes. A week. If there's a lot happened, there was a lot to talk about, and I don't think we delved in one topic too deep. So,
yes. We will see you either next week or the week after for more United by Newsic. Neilply.com. Go visit.
Yeah. Oh, like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Have I got no reactions?
Yeah, normally that should that do like the fireworks thing. Let me try it.
Oh, I turned them off.
Oh.
I had to turn them off.
Okay.
I didn't realize that was possible.
That was a little extra for you. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.